What? No! Elon, no! What are you doing? Are you serious? Okay, so for your information, yes, I am a big fan of Tesla. I don't know if you figured that out yet, but you probably should have after these few videos. I guess I'm going to address A, my stance on Tesla and what I think of them, and B, on this latest bit of news that Elon has unfortunately dropped on us. Very reliable leaker, Elon Musk. Let's actually get into this stuff. So the first thing I'm going to address is my stance on Tesla. I am for the most part a fan of them for two of their biggest reasons. A, it's because of EVs in general. I'm a fan of the EV because not only is electricity generally cheaper than gas, but also the construction of an EV involves fewer parts. And even though, yeah, some of them are a bit more expensive, like batteries, for example, that is the biggest component. The general structure involves fewer parts, and because of that, it actually allows cheaper maintenance because A, there's not much to go wrong. B, well, there's not that many things you have to maintain compared to a gas vehicle. So that is why I like electric vehicles in general. I've mentioned this on gas versus electric. Those are my biggest reasons why I like them. But Tesla specifically, it's actually because they have the best charging network out there. They also, I mean, it's kind of hard to say this bit now because Tesla's constantly raising their prices. They also offer the best price to range ratio in terms of the EV sector right now. Technically, yeah, even though Teslas are a bit out there in terms of price, they technically offer the best value in terms of price per mile, price per range. It's the best you can get. Despite that, right now they're going up in price constantly, which drives me nuts. But anywho, yes, I do like Tesla because A, it's an EV, and I like EVs due to their simpler builds and easier maintenance, as well as cheaper recharging costs. But also because Tesla has the best network. They've also been in this market the longest compared to anyone else. I know Chevy's got the Bolt and I mean such, but Tesla knows how to do this, and this is pretty much why I'm the biggest fan of. I'm a fan of them compared to any other EV right now. I do like the Rivian. I do like the Lucid Air especially. I really like luxury vehicles, so the Lucid Air is definitely on my I like this brand list. But if I had to pick one, Tesla would be my top favorite. So that is my stance on that. And now let's actually address this latest thing that happened in the news, and it's that evidently on January 17th, the price of full self-driving is actually increasing. So in terms of things that Tesla does, full self-driving is not one of my favorite. And the reasons why are A, because I enjoy driving. Unlike most people, I actually enjoy driving. No, I don't enjoy driving in winter storms, which unfortunately has been going on as of lately. Yay, fun. I also don't enjoy driving when there are people being idiots on the road. That's not fun. I actually enjoy my drives compared to most people. Kind of odd, but that's just me. I enjoy driving. So with that in mind, I am actually not a fan of full self-driving. And even though they call it full self-driving, I'm surprised nobody has sued them for false advertisement yet because it's technically not full self-driving. I don't know why they call it that. The name that they've chosen, it was originally Enhanced Autopilot, and honestly, that was a great name. It perfectly described what it was. It was autopilot, but with enhanced features. Great name. Why did they drop it? I don't know. Now it's full self-driving, and it's clearly not full self-driving. If anything, it's still that enhanced autopilot that it was years ago. I'm already not a fan of it just because I actually enjoy driving and prefer to drive rather than, well, I mean, I prefer a different human to drive rather than a nobody drive. There are some parts about Elon that I just do not like. Like, for example, he says the best process is no process, best part is no part. I disagree. The best parts are the simple parts, is what I would rather refer to it as. Best parts are the simple parts where things just work. But having no part, I do not like that. I have a lot of thoughts that definitely go against that. And this is why I like to say the best part is the simplest part. It's not no part. If there's no part, I'm against that for quite a few reasons. Best part is the simplest part. The best process is the simplest process. That is what I think of it. But Elon is adamant about this. Best part is no part. Best process is no process, which I am so against. In terms of actually having a full self-driving, I'm just not a fan of it. I'm also not a fan of, let's talk about it now, its price tag. Originally, okay, it being an expensive multi-$1,000 package that you need to add, I can understand why, and it's because it just came out and they did everything to let you know, hey, this is in beta, this is not the real thing, it is still in development. I can see, and at the time they were also a startup company, so I can see why they charged a lot of money for that package. It made sense. That price has been increasing more and more and more. Honestly, as it's increasing, full self-driving FSD or enhanced autopilot, whatever you want to call it, it has not been doing really anything to deserve its higher price tags. I remember FSD when you could get it for $6,000. Honestly, I would actually consider paying for it if I were to buy a Tesla and I actually had money instead of just wasting it on a new 16-inch MacBook Pro to edit these videos with. I would love to get a Tesla, and if they still priced FSD at $6,000, I might have considered getting it and making YouTube videos off of that. That would be nice. Time and time again, they've increased it from $6,000 to $7,000, then to a giant jump up to $10,000, which is where it's currently at now. And now we're going to be stepping up to $12,000 for the things that it does and doesn't do. It's just really hard to justify it. FSD is so pricey, and a lot of it I don't understand. Now, in terms of if I had to make a scale of the autonomy, of ranking autonomy best to worst, Tesla is definitely on the right track to making the best autonomy ever. And it's because the way they do their testing is, I know some people are against this, and I have mixed thoughts on this too. They allow people to actually do the testing for them. They have their customers do the testing for them. And they do make sure they disclose this with the customers as well. This is not a fully fleshed out product. This is still in beta. This still needs to be tested. You still have to keep your hand on the wheel and such like that. But basically what they're doing is they're getting real world examples of problems. Like maybe there's a blind spot here. How do we handle that? This is something that they can learn versus attempt to program for every instance you can think of. Sure, you can program for every instance you can think of, but there's always going to be other instances that you can't exactly think of because they either happen so infrequently or might have just arose as well. And also, depending on the situation, your reaction to that situation might also be different, and the proper response might also be different depending on the situation. Getting real world testing like this, and something that I do agree with, this is the best way to develop software like that, is to actually go out into the real world and experience these problems, learn from it, and then code the software to actually fix it. I agree with their approach in terms of actually getting it right compared to other autonomy developers. I'm not exactly the biggest fan of how its customers doing that, but to my knowledge at least, the customers who are paying for this, they are fully aware this is in beta and all of that, and the people who do crash it because of FSD or whatever, it's because they're just being idiots. And that's to my knowledge. When I've looked at these reports whenever I hear a Tesla crash, most of the time it has nothing to do with autopilot being bad. It's quite often actually the driver in the car misusing it and going against the terms that Tesla has made you agree to in order to use it. So as long as you can be a reasonable person, and I want to believe most people in the world are reasonable people, if you can have most of your customers actually be reasonable, then yeah, I can see how FSD is set for success. But what I don't understand right now is that the price is constantly increasing. The rate it's increasing compared to the rate of the software improving. I'm just not seeing it, especially since this software currently is still at level 2 autonomy. There are other versions of software out there right now that is at level 3. There's some other company that is developing autonomy software, and they technically managed to achieve level 5, I think. But honestly, the way they did it, it's going to take a lot of time to optimize that. And at Tesla's rate of growth, it should be more effective. They should be growing faster than it is. But here's the thing, it's not. Still got a lot of problems that need to be worked out, which to me boggles the mind how after putting all of these Teslas out there, and yes, there are a ton of them out there now. They're being sold like crazy. It's so much that Tesla can barely keep up with the demand. Seriously, if I try to order a Model 3 right now, I can't get it until like another 6 months, which I am not ordering a Model 3 right now because I do not have the money for that kind of car. I don't know if they're increasing it just to limit the amount of people who can buy it, but to me that doesn't make sense, because in this case, in their strategy, the more people who buy it and test it, the faster you can actually develop your software using this strategy. It's just becoming harder to justify, and I don't understand why. All right, $6,000, okay. At the time, they were a startup company. They had struggles to break even. Now they are one of the most valued companies in the world. Even then, at the time, I can see why, yeah, it's expensive. Why was it getting more expensive when all of a sudden the development has slowed so fast? This I do not get. At the end of the day, I personally don't care because I'm not exactly that interested in FSD in the first place, and it's just because I enjoy driving the car. I enjoy driving cars, even though I got in an accident about a couple weeks ago. So yeah, I enjoy driving. So FSD doesn't matter to me that much, but still, the fact that Elon is increasing the price again, and there has been very little development so far. I've even listened to the Talos of EV podcast, and both EV owners agree with this one statement. If they had to buy full self-driving today at $10,000 price, it's not worth it. They would totally just leave it at autopilot versus FSD, because FSD right now is just enhanced autopilot. It's not full self-driving. So yeah, that was quite interesting to hear when Randy from the Talos of EV podcast, he said he is grateful that he purchased it at the $6,000 he did, because now it's $10,000, but if he had to make that purchase again and it costs $10,000, he would not do it. And same goes for Model Y Mike on the Talos of EV podcast as well. So this is interesting. So when you even have current full self-driving testers out there right now that even say today they would not pay $10,000 to do this, what good is increasing it to $12,000 gonna do you? I don't get it. It's actually not going to help the development of FSD. It's just not. So why bother increasing it, Elon? I don't get it. All right, so thank you for watching. Do me a favor and interact with the stuff below. My name is DeWolf. Random Alpha, signing out.